Thank you, Pim. Good morning, everybody. And I've lived in Milton Keynes for 54 years. I'd probably look it. And I've got my name up in lights at the stables. So, yeah, I've made it after 54 years. So, yeah, Steve Henson from Barclays. My role is as a business development director for Barclays. But more importantly for today, I'm very proud to be involved with the technology cluster since its inception, both as an individual but with Barclays support, and currently an ambassador and sit on the board. So when Pim asked me to do this, very privileged to do so. So here we go. So what's it all about and where did it all start? So let's be honest here as well. The key catalyst to this really dates back 10 years ago, and they had the celebration a few weeks ago, which is to do with MEPC, who purchased the land at Silverstone, which we now know as Silverstone Park. And myself and a colleague happened to be at a Motorsport Industry Association event over at the park. And we bumped into Ros Bird, who is in the room here somewhere today, who was appointed as the commercial director for the park to see its development. And we got talking, and we were sort of, myself and a colleague have worked in the area for many, many years, but we're sort of tuning it over and trying to understand, well, what is this area all about? Now, there was the fabled Motorsport Valley that was coined many, many years ago, which clearly has a reference and a meaning and relates, to the motorsport industry and the Formula One teams. And then there's also the Northamptonshire Enterprise Partnership, which is now defunct, but they had a team that focused very much on the high-performance technology sector. But again, they moved on with regards to the new LEP statuses that came in. So we sort of thought, well, what can we do to really understand what's going on in this area? And what we actually done, we commissioned a report via SQW. Now, these guys, back in the 80s, were very involved in the Cambridge networks and looking at how that evolved. So they came on board, and the report was sponsored by Barclays, MEPC, and a couple of other partners. And the key findings are up there on the screen for you to see. And what it showed, with Silverstone on that map being the sort of focal point of it, and then going an hour out from there in north, south, east and west, as you can see. The report showed that there was approximately 4,500 businesses in that geographical area that in one way, shape or form were involved in high performance technology, engineering, manufacturing, so on and so forth. And the real three key areas that it came up with they were involved with were advanced engineering, electronics and software. By critical mass, that was it. But clearly what this also brought together was anything from a one-man band, a sole trade, a limited company, all the way up to some very large companies in situ as well. The real key thing, and this is what we're trying to establish as well, is that it met the definitions of a cluster. So SQW said it's absolutely a cluster by definition, but one really, really key thing is it is not a motorsport cluster. It's not solely related to that, which we kind of knew, but we needed something to have to actually kind of evidence that. And there were some fantastic contributors with regards to that report. There's a lot of R&D going on in the area, as you'd expect. I'm sure there's a lot of R going on as well. But the report established that there's a lot of development. So they're doing, very, very clever, intelligent people that their businesses were delivering on the research part of it. And that was really, really important. And then this came up time and time and time again, and that wasn't just for the people that actually participated and kindly got involved in the report, but also when you're out there talking to, other agencies that, particularly with the Silverstone name, it was deemed as being the best place in the world for advanced engineering. So what we got there, we've got this report, which, really told us what we thought existed, but now we've got a document that said it. But what do we do with it? So, again, we looked to the east, and we looked to Cambridge, not the far east, not that far. We looked to Cambridge and see how they had established their networks and the Cambridge networks back in the 80s. In fact, SQW had done the original report, as I mentioned, back in the 80s. I'm proud to say Barclays have been involved with that for many years as well. And through Ros and also John Corbett, who was at Barclays at the time, reached out to the contacts in Cambridge and if something's successful, why not replicate it or try and copy it? I won't say plagiarism because there's lawyers in the room, but if something's working, why not try and go down that same line? So the Silverstone Technology Cluster was founded in 2017 for a not-for-profit organisation, and you will see the founding members' names on there. And these are really, really important people because this organisation wouldn't exist without their support, and it's hard cash. You know, you can't set an organisation up without some money to pay the salaries and the bills that go with it. And also very, very proud to say that those, get the numbers right now, is there 7 on there or 8? 7. They're all still actively involved today, which I think really shows the value that these organisations put on, you know, what we'd found. 3 core guiding principles behind this, the technology cluster, a promotion, very much to look to, you know, promote the excellence that's in the area, not just within the area, but globally. And you'll hear more about this as the day goes on, no doubt. Support. The report highlighted that with, you know, we all know this from all businesses and all sectors, you know, there are some challenges, you know, even if you just look at the very straightforward ones, which is skills, but, you know, there's access to funding, you know, the growth aspect side of it as well. You know, I worked with portfolios for many, many years, and the access to property is a huge, you know, blocker for businesses to grow. You know, with Silverstone Park coming on stream and what they've done down, it's phenomenal. But again, that's not for everybody, but, you know, support. And support is different to different people. And then thought leadership. For me, one of the highlights that came out when they were discussing the report was, you know, around the collaboration piece, actually. And, you know, we thought that was a really, really key one. You know, there's a lot of secrecy around out there. You know, can people work together? But, you know, collaboration was a theme that came out. So if we look at where we are today and what's evolved over the years, so from a sort of that thought leadership thing is very much driven by the special interest groups, and you'll see there's kind of 5 that are up there at the moment. Now these are agreed by the industry advisory group and the members. This is not the board that sit there and got oversight over this, coming up with smart ideas. You know, a banker, I'm not going to come up with the smartest ideas when it comes to advanced manufacturing, but, you know, these special interest groups are really, really key. You know, they're driven by what we were told are the very much sort of leading edge out there in the out there at the moment. The one recently, real standout for me, real eye-opener, was under the Digital Advanced Manufacturing SIG. Kieran Salter hosted the last event over at the Digital Manufacturing Centre at Silverstone, and it was linked to the opportunities in the defence sector, and absolutely phenomenal presentations and the people that are in the room there to listen to what was going on. Quite scary, really, when you get someone from the MOD actually explaining the lead time on how long it takes to get a nut. You know, 270 days for a nut on a Challenger tank. It's quite scary, really. So the special interest groups, like I say, like-minded individuals and looking at opportunities, and very much along the collaboration piece as well. Business growth, you know, that's a really, really tough subject matter because it means different things to different people. But, you know, the various events that are put on to look at, you know, what that means to various different people. Again, driven by what the members say, and then those events are put on. Again, you look at some of the partners involved in that. You've got the Be the Business program, which the board and the cluster decided was a real fantastic partnership to bring people in and work with these companies. And BBB is the British Business Bank. And there's been various access to finance programs run. And that's not just about access to, you know, push businesses forward, establish businesses forward. This is also to do a look at early investment, equity investment. And the bottom there one is the AWS partnership. I mean, to get someone like Amazon Web Services on board to support on some of these growth programs, I think really speaks volumes for what Pim and the team have done over the years. Some of the numbers that are on here around what's been delivered in this time frame. Again, you'll get these slides so you can see them. I think one of the standouts for me has to be the introductions, the one-to-one introductions. Pim does a fantastic job at trying to link businesses up where there's specific needs, and you know, the board members and the other members do exactly the same. You know, simplistically, from my point of view, when people have come to me and say they need, you know, extra machining capabilities, it's just great to go out to companies and say, can you help them, or can you help them with a particular project? I think on the partnership side of it, some absolutely incredible partnerships that Pim has worked on over the years. You know, the interesting one that I was involved with was the Heathrow one, actually. That came about because of an event that was at the Transport Systems Catapult in Milton Keynes, and Heathrow were presenting around some of the challenges they face down there. And myself and a colleague went over to them and said, well, do you realise about all these fantastic companies that are in this geographical area? He went, no. How can I find out about them? So Robin came and he was one of the headline speakers at one of our first conferences, and they were genuinely, well, when the BBC News got hold of it, the local news, thinking, what's Heathrow doing up in, I think it's up in Milton Keynes when we had the conference there. And genuinely, companies in Northamptonshire now are doing work with Heathrow because of that. And the other one, sort of the global reach, I guess, at the end of the day, is the one at the bottom there. By no means a Mickey Mouse one to have on there, American pun there. But the US Army, DevCom, you know, they've reached out to Pim and the team and said, we've heard about what you're doing. Can we engage with some of your people, please? And there's been 2 meetings so far that they've actually paid and facilitated over at Silverstone. There's a third one due to come. I mean, you know, to get an SME business, whatever size it is, in front of, you know, the US military's R&D arm, I think is just phenomenal. And that really, really speaks volumes of the work that's been going on over the years. You know, it is about the members. There's a few quotes here about what people say about what the STC has achieved over the years. Again, I think the, you know, they're all extremely relevant, but I think the one in the middle in red sort of speaks volumes and sort of encapsulates all of it, really. But again, you can read them at your own leisure. It needs to be shared with you. I'm rattling through this, I tell you, because I was given 15 minutes to start off with, then I was given 12, and I was given 10, and I'm waiting for him to wave that pink card at me, so I'm flying through this. The actual membership itself, again, you'll get these, but it's important to understand who our members are and the sectors they're involved in. As you'd expect, you know, the big on the, as you're looking on the left-hand side, you know, a big slice of the membership base is, you know, is in the SME world in the 1 to 5 space. And then if you then look over into the middle slide, you know, vast majority of the companies, the 1 to 10 million space. Well, that's actually fantastic because that's the lifeblood of the SME community, in all honesty. And there's been quite a few of those companies I've worked with over the years that have actually gone from the 1 to 10 million into the next one up. It's really important we understand our audience and who we're working with. And, you know, the more that we can bring into some of those other areas of those graphs, the better, or those figures. And then sectors, I think, is nothing you would not sort of you know, you'd expect to see on there really around automotive, motorsport, and aerospace and aviation. But I think really when you look at the opportunity, you would expect to see some of the other real key areas on there, particularly around environment and particularly around energy and clean tech. And there's a lot of work the cluster is doing at the moment to understand that and see how we can develop and evolve that. So again, just to finish off from a membership perspective, here he goes with his cards. From a membership perspective, you know, I think, you know, from a standing start, if you look at the graph there, again, phenomenal, the take-up. I mean, we had the COVID years, you know, things stood still. But I think if you look at the growth from 2019 to where we find ourselves now, you know, the trajectory's there and the momentum's there again now post those COVID years. As you can see, there is year-on-year growth. Another really important thing, the kind of fee structure that sits behind this hasn't changed since the technology cluster was set up. So the value for money, seriously, you know, to get in front of some of these organisations and present your business to them, I think is phenomenal. Again, the renewals, you know, again, if you look at that, on average, 90% renewals every year. That speaks volumes of what's going on. You're going to get natural wastage. These things happen, and I think the biggest one we tend to find is, as a board member, is that you pay your money, but if you don't engage, what do you expect to get out of it? And that tends to be the case, or businesses have moved on. And at the bottom part of it, you'll see the industry advisory group. So these are the guys that give up their time to actually engage with the members and talk about sort of like the way forward and the opportunities that go on, and they report back into the board, and that's part of the process that sits behind making sure that the evolution of the technology cluster is there for the members and is fit for purpose. So there we go. I think I've got through that in time, and maybe made up a bit of time for you, Pim. So thank you for listening. I hope that's set the scene for today. Have a wonderful time, and please get engaged, you know, and please get involved, whether that's actually becoming a full member or just dipping your toe in to have a look at it. And something else I've always wanted to say on stage is I think it's now Roll VT. Thank you very much.
We're here today to present to DevCom, part of the Future Mobility Special Interest Group,
the UK Space Sector,
and Business Angel Investments,
Digital and Advanced Manufacturing Special Interest Group,
ST Innovation Zone, and as part of the VIP Lounge. Presenting to the US Army and their kind of R&D lab, it's a great opportunity. I'm optimistic. I really look forward to exploring some of the opportunities.
We managed to get across exactly where we see the future of commercial vehicles.
And I'm walking away with some opportunities that I couldn't have even dreamed of when I walked in.
It's great that STC are promoting events in different manufacturing industries.
When we work together, we realise we can unlock a lot of potential we have between each other, and hopefully we'll see some new projects in the next 12 months.
Brilliant event, lots of expertise in the room, lots of top tips.
We've had tremendous engagement from all of the attendees.
I think STC has done an incredible job to help support the local community.
And it congregates you together and allows you to work forward on your challenges that you face.
We had a series of presentations from both industry experts, customers working in the field, and from suppliers of machines and equipment.
For me in the Ministry of Defence, that's a really exciting opportunity to collaborate.
So being a member of the STC gives you those opportunities.
It takes things forward for us, yeah. It really gives us a platform that maybe we couldn't necessarily afford to do without the STC.
It just allows us to all collaborate and work together.
It's a really good networking forum.